Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and thank you for stopping by again. It's been really crazy over the last few weeks. I always say that, but indeed, the pace just keeps picking up. In any case, this is a relatively short video to bring you a few things that are up to date, so to speak, on a few items before getting into the city tour. Now, one of the things I wanted to mention, if you're a subscriber to Retirement Wave at the website that's associated with this YouTube channel, then you will have received a simple addendum, really, to the December report from Panama. It's just a couple charts. It has to do with construction activity and with the general financial status of the country. Some comments with regard to that. And if you don't receive it, if you're not a subscriber there, and you're interested in it, that and the report done a little over a month ago, December of 2019, and the one done before that in June of 2019, are all available for download at the reports section of the website. And we'll put the address for that, the web address, in the description below, so you can pick them up if you want to. And if you really like that sort of thing and you want to receive them regularly, which is maybe once a month, so once in a while, close to probably now to about once every 2 months, then subscribe. It's very easy to do, and like everything else, there's no money involved in it. You don't pay anything, and there's no advertising or anything of that sort. So I just wanted to mention that and get that out there for those of you who are not subscribers at Retirement Wave. Okay, I received a question from someone I promised I would answer. I'm going to answer it right now. It's something that I've discussed a long time ago, but probably you have not seen that particular video because it's buried in the whole pile of the videos that we have here. The question that he asked was simply, what about the postal system in Panama? And is it useful to me, and where do I go, and what do I do, and what have you? All right, and this is all a long story, but we'll try to make it as short as possible. We don't have door-to-door delivery in Panama. It was way too much money for this small country to handle in the past. So what we did set up, or what they set up here, were a series of post offices in towns and villages all across the country, and then you'd have a mailbox or general delivery, and that was it. Now, times have changed rather dramatically, and it's interesting to see how things get done, but it happens. You will not think about it once you get here and you've been here for a little while. But as far as international mail is concerned, you can send letters by international mail. It may take, for me in the U.S., it could take 2, even 3 weeks sometimes for the letter to work its way up there. And I actually received one from the U.S. They tracked me down. They found my address, and they got it to me a couple weeks after it was sent. But people normally don't use that as their means. I mean, if you had to have it overnight, it's DHL, FedEx, whatever. But otherwise, we use local services specifically for the purpose of dealing with international mails. Now, some of you, certainly in the U.S. and Canada, and I don't know how many other nations have them, but we have mailboxes, etc. here. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's just a service that does a number of things, among others, here in Panama. They do provide mail services. And it boils down to is that when somebody wants to write me up in the U.S., they write the mailbox's central office in Florida, and I have my own special number, et cetera, and so forth. And the mail there is all put together, I don't know, 2-3 times a week or whatever, and it's flowing down here to Panama and distributed in their offices down here, and I stop by and I pick up that mail. And it's fine. I don't have any problem with it. If you like to have a lot of magazines and things of this sort that are really heavy, they do charge by weight when you get up into heavier stuff. But you'll find these places everywhere, and they're not just mailboxes. There's probably 8, 9, 10 different firms that have done this. Some have done it for decades. It's very well organized and very well set up. Local folks can probably tell you where to go that they think is best. You can get referrals on that. But that's how we deal with it for the international. And, I have never actually asked any of our European members, and I will remember to do that one of these days, what they do. Now, whether they have systems, the Spanish may very well have, But whether, say, someone from Germany has a system they can go to in Germany that get these things back and forth to Panama specifically, I don't know. It may be that they indeed end up with mailboxes having an address in the U.S. where things are sent and then forwarded down here. I don't know. But in any event, that's how we take care of it. Locally, in a nutshell, if I need to get hold of somebody, I pick up the phone, or more likely use my cell phone and call them. If I want to write them, then I do it by email or WhatsApp. If I have documents, then okay, I send them by email or WhatsApp. And if it's really urgent and so forth, I get an Uber, or if I had my car here, I get in the car and drive. It's just really pretty much that way. Bills for, say, water or electricity is a good example of it. They'll email that to you, or they will deliver it to your door. I mean, literally, here in the city at least, it arrives stuck under my door. And they do both. They send both the paper version, and they also send me an email. So I'm sure to pay. This happens. Everybody's used to it. Nobody thinks twice about it. If you get a lot of stuff that you're shipping back and forth to the U.S., one person was talking about having a business and they had to ship a lot of things out of Panama. You're going to have to work with one of the package services that exist for that purpose. And it isn't going to be through a postal service. It would be too slow and too unsure. People just don't use it for that. It's a really very simple system, and it's for simple purposes here within the nation, and especially out in the countryside. But even there, I tell you, the cell phone and email have taken over the world one way or another. So that's it in a nutshell. So you don't worry about that. If you want to go down and apply to get a mailbox at one of the local post offices, feel free. You'll probably be on a waiting list. It's been there for several years. I don't know why, but people do like to have theirs. They hold on to them forever, I guess because there aren't that many of them. Whatever. Don't worry about it. We will have different ways of dealing with it. It won't be exactly the same as it's been in your own country. Such is life in moving overseas. It's not too surprising. If you wanted that, you can pay a lot more money and go to a much more expensive nation, and they can take care of that for you, I guess. But we don't worry about it. We just live with it and deal with it. Now, oh yes, and by the way, if people do ask this occasionally, when I first came down here, everybody had a BlackBerry. Now, it's Android is probably the widest spread. There are iPhones down here. But Samsung, of course, but a number of different Android suppliers are very active here. Nobody really cares. It's whatever you have and whatever you like, and it works. And that's the best part. And I'm on the list of people who want to get a flip phone again because I'm really getting tired of carrying the smartphone around all the time. Fine. Okay. That's that. Now, I have something that's a little bit different. In fact, I'll tell you what happened. And so something very unusual and probably one time only will happen today as a result. One of you wrote me from the U.S., a gentleman who was thinking of coming, well, is hoping to come down here and, in a sense, set up a branch of his small business down here. He was renting an apartment. He'd be down here a good deal of the time working here. Someone else would be working up where they have their current offices and so on. But it's small business, and they're trying to keep control on costs. He was interested in whether he could get an apartment that was furnished, one bedroom, didn't have to be fancy, but it just had to have that bedroom. And he had some things he wanted in terms of size and so forth, or whatever, and it would have to be furnished. And could he find that for $1,000 a month? And it's the furnished part is what usually pushes these up higher. For less than $1,000, not too difficult to find, unfurnished, but who wants to go out and buy everything? That doesn't make any sense most of the time. But in this case, I said, I really don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't. Whether it's going to have all the bells and whistles you're talking about, I just don't know. But I'll tell you what, I will ask one of the agents I work with who's familiar with rentals and see what she has to say and what her experience is looking around. So I called her up and mentioned it to her. And she said, oh, yeah. She said, I think we can do that because I just saw one today. I said, oh, really? And it turned out it was just down the street from where I am. And she said, you know, if you want to take a look at it, I'll show it to you. And I said, well, this gentleman isn't coming down here for a while, but why not? It's just a few minutes away. And I'd like to see what they're offering out there for $1,000 in a furnished apartment nowadays. And this is a good way to do it. So we set up a time to meet and so forth. Went around, took a look at it. I decided I'd take a few photos so I could send it up to the man, just to give him an idea. He's not coming down for several months, so this was not a matter of he's going to jump on a plane and rush down here and rent an apartment. He just needed a better idea of what it was all about. And since he's in business and what have you, this is a number of concerns, and I wanted to be as helpful as I could be, and this purely coincidentally popped up. So while we're walking around looking at the apartment, my agent friend of mine said, do you want me to take a video? I said, sure, why not? So she took her cell phone and she made this like a 1.5 minute quickie video. It's a very small apartment. It's a 1-bedroom apartment. And it's got one full bathroom and then a second guest room, a toilet, and a sink and so forth. No shower or anything of that sort. It's got a balcony and it's got an open kitchen, and you're going to see it. You see, because that when I sat back and I realized I do not show properties for rent or sale on this YouTube channel. God forbid I ever got involved with doing that. It's just wrong, for me to do that. Plus, I'd be swamped. I've got today too. As a matter of fact, I get messages from people who are living here, who are trying to sell places, rent them or whatever, saying, Bob, can you help me do this and sell this, and can you help me rent that? And uniformly across the board, I have to say, no, I'm sorry, I cannot do that. I know several of them I really, really want to sell, for example, and I just cannot do that. It's outside of what this channel was set up to do and what the Retirement Wave is set up to do. And if I do it for one person, I'd have 25 people, more than that, in a line saying, well, if you did it for them, why didn't you do it for me? And I don't want to get into that. However, this was an unusual thing. I took a look at that little video she made, and she mentions the name of the condominium, the tower. We call them all towers here, right off the bat. And so I can clip that right out, and after that, there's no way to know where you are. So I'm not actually advertising a rental. I don't even know where it's being done. I don't know the owner. I have no idea at all. And I'll soon enough forget whatever the apartment number was in that tower. But it didn't make any difference. It's effectively anonymous. And it's not a beautiful, gorgeous apartment. You know how real estate people are. They get you the most beautiful example they could possibly find and give you a real royal tour, and then you come down here and see what is ordinary. This case is perfectly okay. It's perfectly good, a 1-bedroom apartment, furnished. It was being another small business person from elsewhere in Latin America, I believe, was down here using it. And he went home, or he went on to another job or whatever, and so he had just left it. And that's why it had just been brought to the attention of the agent that I know. But he was just gone. So he was paying $1,100 a month. And I said, well, yes, our gentleman was thinking in terms of $1,000, so I was hoping to find something I could show him that was $1,000. And she said, no, I'm sure it could be arranged for $1,000 if he wanted to. So that makes a lot of sense in today's market. So yeah, I said, you're right. So I took the little video and I sent it up to him. And I said, even though you're not going to be here for months and this place is going to be gone and so forth, it gives you an idea of what we have. And he had zero experience with this sort of thing. And I really felt he needed that. If I could do it this easily, I would. But I cannot do it all the time or even again. It's too much trouble. And I just can't run around and look at these places, and eventually I end up promoting places. Not going to happen. It's as simple as I can't do it. But I purely stepped into this without expecting it. So it is that I will show it to you. Since he's not going to be renting it, and there's no advertising going on here of any sort. You wouldn't know where to find this place if you were here. Then why not show it to you? And it gives you an example. And so we'll do that. Now, the voice that you'll hear is the voice of the agent. She's just describing it. I trust you'll be able to hear her words. So without further ado, let's move over and listen to her.
One bedroom apartment. This is the dining room, living room. It has a beautiful balcony. Beautiful balcony with the view. It has a visitor's bathroom. And there is a main bedroom, because it's just one bedroom apartment. Okay, rollers are down, but so you can make it dark if you need. And this is the bathroom. And it has a walk-in closet too. It has an open kitchen. This is the kitchen. And the laundry.
Okay, that sums it up. I hope you were able to hear it and everything else. It's a very simple place, nothing fancy. But on the other hand, that's a very good rent in most capital cities in the world for a place that says, just a condominium. It's got a health club, a fitness center, a swimming pool, all that sort of stuff. And, of course, parking space. If you have a vehicle. Things of this sort. We just take it for granted, so they often go unmentioned, and they shouldn't. People have asked me if you have to pay the association fee, and no. The association fee is paid for by the owner, not by you. Typically, electricity is your responsibility. My guesstimate for an apartment that size, and I think it'd probably be a little less, but it depends on the efficiency of the air conditioning unit there, which looks fairly modern, but I don't really know how recent. But I can't imagine it going over $50 a month. I would think it'd be more in the neighborhood of 35 to 40, but don't quote me. I'm making my best guess there. And some places would have the charge for the water and garbage sort of pickup. The city charges for each residence. It's not a lot of money. The one I'm in now doesn't. So, that's peanuts. So that's pretty small. And we have quite a few other amenities and what have you, cable and so forth. You have to look into each one. Depends on what speed you want. We have everything in the cable service I use has everything from I think it's 60 meg down to 1 gigabyte down. I get 350 on a normal program, and that's 350 down and 15 up for those of you who keep track of the numbers. I don't really feel a need for more, but you can get more if you want it. All right. So these sorts of things are involved too. But as far as the apartment itself is concerned, it's basically the rent and the electricity that you use. In a one bedroom, you're not going to use a lot of electricity. It's just hard to. You can run the air conditioning all day long, and you're still probably not going to be using a great deal of that. So that's an idea. That's why I wanted to use it while we had it, and I hope you enjoy it, and it gives you a little bit of an idea. Nowadays, I've got several people to see over the next few days as they come in. As they say, it's been a very busy time. Priority is always given to visiting members, visiting people. I only can give them an hour or two of time. Of course, there's no charge or anything of that sort. They can buy the coffee, I tell them. As you read about it, if you read the newsletter, I just say to people, if you want to talk to me, I particularly enjoy meeting first-timers because I know sometimes it's nice to have someone to talk to after you've arrived. But anybody wants to, I'm happy to do my best to arrange a time to sit and chat. And it may not be a long time, but we almost always, 1 out of 100 times I have been unable to meet a particular schedule with a visitor because they just weren't here very long. It was a matter of hours, and it just couldn't be done. Otherwise, we usually find a time. So I've got several of them coming up, which I didn't expect. This has been a very busy year, and a number of other things too, along with the business that I run and so on. So I will be back to you, but thank you for your patience. And oh yeah, and you know, if this is new to you and you're just stopping in and you like it, by all means subscribe and ring the little bell beside the subscribe button, and they'll send you a notification immediately when a new video goes up. You can always unsubscribe. It's not important to me. It's whether or not it's useful to you. That's the only concern that you need to think about. Thank you again for dropping by, and I do look forward to definitely to seeing you again, and I hope sooner rather than later.